Skiing versus the environment in a nutshell. Skiing, or any other outdoor snow-based gliding sport for that matter, for many is the pinnacle of their life for being outside in the nature. Very seldom do we get to spend the majority of our days outside, between forests and mountains, breathing in nothing but fresh mountain air and engaging in a sport which connects us with nature. Despite that, the global skiing resort industry, with a whopping $3.5 billion of revenue in 2019 in the US alone, is often criticized for its unsustainable and nature-harming properties. In a time where environmental awareness is more present than ever,
80 countries. They are organized by Fridays for Future.
It is important to have a nuanced look at an industry like this, which also brings a lot of fun and healthy physical activity to millions of people around the world. Chapter 1. The Big Picture. Fighting against climate change is in the best interest of skiing resort operators, since an increase in the average global temperature raises the altitude above which the operation of a skiing resort is feasible. As an example, in the past, an altitude of 1,200 meters above the sea level was considered the lower boundary for enough natural snow and cold enough temperatures to operate a skiing resort. With increasing global temperatures, it is projected that within the coming decades, this level will be raised to 1,500 meters and beyond, which will drive thousands of resorts out of business and decrease the snow quality and security for all other resorts. Considering this, skiing resorts are clearly victims of climate change. On the other hand, they are also large-scale energy consumers. According to a guide of the Finnish Ski Area Association, 20 kilowatt-hours of electricity are needed to allow one person to ski for one day. This is of course just a very rough number, summing up the energy consumed of a Finnish example resort and dividing it by the number of guests in a given day. With other climates, resort sizes, equipment, and depending on the time of the year, this number can obviously differ massively. Considering that an average American household's consumption is 12 kilowatt-hours per day, the 20 kilowatt-hours for a day of skiing for a single person lay solid 66% higher, which is without a doubt a severe increase. The problems with statistics and comparisons like these, however, is that you can always pick favorable and unfavorable comparisons. The 20 kilowatt-hours for a day of skiing, for example, appears like negligible dust in the wind compared to a single 7-hour transatlantic flight with a standard large aircraft which requires a staggering 500,000 kilowatt-hours of work to be done. Chapter 2. Skiing and the local environment. While the overall impact of skiing resorts on the climate is certainly not negligible, there's a way more approachable criticism as well, dealing with the hands-on destruction and the change of alpine environments. Untouched mountains tend to be covered in dense vegetation, ranging from evergreen trees to scrubs and bushes. These, however, wouldn't make for a comfortable skiing descent. The construction of skiing slopes, roads, lifts, and restaurants on the mountainsides severely impact these habitats. While lifts usually bring steel pillars and cut trees with them, it is slope construction which really disturbs the nature. The most common way to construct skiing slopes is to mechanically bulldoze the topsoil to create a smooth run, which is easy to maintain, attractive to skiers, and which increases the snow cover duration across the year. This practice, however, removes, buries, and breaks apart the fragile topsoil, which kills all plants that lived in it. The harsh climate in alpine environments, with long freezing periods and many months of snow cover, only lets sturdy plants survive. But these kinds of plants are not exactly known for fast reproduction rates and fast adaptability. As a result, it can take multiple decades for the original plant density to come back to bulldozed skiing slopes, and with increased altitude, this only takes longer and longer. But before skiing resort operators are written off as nature-destroying and unscrupulous, you must note that this is also not in the best interest for them. Less plant cover increases erosion on the slopes, which creates more maintenance work, and muddy and ugly mountainsides are a big turnoff for summer guests to the resort. A way to counteract this sparse vegetation is the application of hydroseeding, where crop mix is distributed over barren slopes to increase the revitalization speed. Another double-edged sword, which is either praised or harshly criticized, is the practice of artificially snowing on slopes. Some evidence exists that artificial snow is actually beneficial to the habitat it lays on. Firstly, a thicker snow layer gives more protection from mechanical damage from grooming vehicles and skiers. Artificial snow has a higher thermal insulation compared to normal snow, which reduces the time the ground is frozen, which reduces frost damage to seeds and plants. And finally, some artificial snow cannons are fed with water which has been mixed with sterilized bacteria. These bacteria allow snowmaking at higher temperatures compared to normal water, which gives resorts more flexibility in timing their snowmaking and makes them less wasteful. The impacts of these bacteria, which are spread in large scales across skiing resorts in the United States, are not fully understood yet, but some studies suggest that the increase of organic nitrogen fostered plant growth, while studies on different species found increased frost damage when plants got in contact with the bacteria-mixed water. Another counter-argument for artificial snow is that it severely delays the natural growing season, since artificial snow tends to melt multiple days or even weeks later than natural snow. This disrupts the growth potential and the natural cycle of the alpine habitats. On the other hand, the water which is taken from meltwater streams, creeks and lakes is quite nutrient-rich compared to normal rainwater. So it adds large quantities of magnesium, calcium and other nutrients to the environment, which counteracts these developments again by increasing the biomass of plant species, which are usually lacking these nutrients in the high alpine environments. After all, for every positive argument, you can find a counter-argument, and vice versa. Skiing slopes and the artificial snowing thereof, without a doubt, change the habitats of our alpine spaces. Whether increasing biomass but decreasing diversity is a good or bad thing is not something for me to decide, but more of a philosophical and ethical question. The construction and operation of these resorts needs to be well planned and with many environmental aspects in mind, such as sustainable procurement of water for snowing, a revitalization plan for bulldozed areas, and much more. Chapter 3. The root cause. Blaming resort operators for the high CO2 footprint that comes out of a skiing resort isn't completely fair either, since it's the consumers which are the root cause for many of the high emission factors. Skiers demand perfect snow for an unnaturally long winter season, so of course the resorts have to react and mobilize artificial snowing equipment, which are in fact the single highest energy consumers in skiing resorts. Also, skiers demand unnaturally smooth slopes, so of course the resorts have to react and damage the fragile topsoil to smoothen every little bump, and if they do not do these things, skiers will simply drive over to other resorts and spend their money there. This leaves the question of what can actually be done to get out of this unsustainable spiral. Simply closing all unsustainable resorts would be disastrous for millions of people which build their livelihood around the skiing industry, and the actions of a few woke travelers who select their resorts based on how well the resorts handle the previously mentioned issues won't change the industry either. I believe that skiing can be made more organic in the sense that resorts only open when natural snow is present, and that new slopes further follow natural clearings on mountain slopes and so on. The only problem arising with this, however, is that it would throw any resort which voluntarily practices these principles into a spiral of uncompetitiveness without the necessary governmental support. All in all, the future of skiing resorts is an uncertain one, and we can only hope for future technologies and initiatives to solve these long-term issues, so people can enjoy the amazing sport that skiing is for far into the future. If you enjoyed this kind of video, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, cheers.